creation. 6 orders which distill all the knowledge ever conceived by the human mind.
In 6 orders, the Talmud is an endeavor to encompass all that is knowable, just as 6 directions define the boundaries of the cosmos. 6 manuscripts became the basis for the laws and customs of the Jewish people. 6 orders which offer nothing less than a user's manual for life in the world.
Zeraim, the order of seeds, wherein the laws of germination and thus the principles of vitality in all its forms are discussed. Moed, the order of festivals, wherein the laws of time, the calendar, the Sabbath, and other ceremonies are discussed. Nashim, the order of women or wives, concerns the laws governing matrimony, family life, and society in general. Nezikin, the order of damages, discusses issues related to crime and punishment of various degrees of gravity, as well as idolatry. Kodashim, the order of holy things, the laws of the Temple of Jerusalem, its measurements, architecture, organization, types of offerings and service. Tehorot, the order of purities, a discussion of all the laws related to ritual purity.
But the elaboration of the Talmud was an ongoing project. The sages continued their task of questioning the writings. Gradually, the Mishnah was supplemented by new commentaries which accumulated over the centuries. This body of the Talmud is called the Gemara. Gemara means completion in Hebrew. As time went on, this commentary became so long that it now makes up over 90% of the Talmud. Thus, from the 3rd to the 7th century of the Common Era, the Talmud, according to the 6 orders set forth by Rabbi Judah Hanasi, evolved into the form it has today. The Mishnah, written in Hebrew, followed by the Gemara, written in Aramaic, the language spoken by all the Talmudic scholars of the time. Following the Roman invasion, many Jewish scholars settled in the kingdom of Babylon, which explains why the Talmud developed simultaneously in 2 separate places, Galilee and Babylon. This resulted in the compilation of 2 Talmuds. The one which evolved in Israel is called the Yerushalmi Talmud, or Jerusalem Talmud, and the one written in Babylon is called the Talmud Bavli, or Babylonian Talmud. The chief difference between them is in their method. The Jerusalem Talmud emphasizes the conclusions of the sages with regard to property law, whereas the Babylonian one prefers questioning. Ultimately, the method of questioning prevailed, chosen by later Talmudic scholars who are still studying the Babylonian Talmud. For millennia, wherever Jewish children were to be found, they grew up learning the art of the question. The Talmud is the quintessential book of the question. "Who has questions?" the rabbi asked one day. "I have so many answers." He was referring to his Talmud. The Talmud does far more than answer questions, however. It forges a dialectical attitude which may sometimes lead to unexpected results.
The white one may be on his way to sweep another chimney. After all, he may not be going home, so why should he go wash then and there? Nevertheless, a person can feel like bathing even if he does not see that he's dirty. He may just feel dirty. Yes, the person can feel dirty. You can feel dirty all the time. That's not what I mean. You're talking about a neurotic chimney sweep obsessed with his own cleanliness, not his appearance. Obviously a thought from the Babylonian Talmud, because Yerushalmi doesn't waste time on such nonsense, as you know. Well, then perhaps the white one comes from Jerusalem and the black one comes from Babylon.
It took 6 centuries for the Talmud to come into the world. 6 centuries to succeed in condensing what would become the most unusual compendium of unending dialogue on every subject under the sun. Even today, each page of the Talmud is made up of 2 parts. The text from the Mishnah or Gemara is printed in the center. It is surrounded by various commentaries which were written later and have become essential to understanding the text. Students in today's yeshivot, or Talmudic schools, perpetuate the dialogue between rabbis of Galilee and Babylon and their successors.
ומה יקרה אם תטביל ברמז? כל הבית שמה תחטא בשבת. אתה כאילו יכול להגיד, זה לא מלוכה. לא כדאי לעשות את זה. צריך באמת שאלוהים ישתה בגופו. אין הנאה ממשית. זה מה שהרב מחדש לך. אם יהיה הנאה ממשית, שיהיה שינוי בגוף.
Within a yeshiva, the art of debate is an essential tool for understanding the codes for daily life. But first and foremost, the Talmud develops the student's analytical skills, sharpens his critical sense, and broadens the field of conjecture as much as possible, always with the ultimate goal of shedding greater light on thinking and its contradictions. Thus, the students discover the intellectual prowess deployed by the Talmudic scholars who clarified the relation to daily life and ethics of biblical tales full of seeming paradoxes or anachronisms. The biblical text is also perceived as a metaphor because Hebrew is a language of multiple meanings. A single word can open many doors and lead to several levels of interpretation.
Whether Adam and Eve had belly buttons doesn't matter. In Hebrew, Adam means I am of the blood, and Eve, I am alive. Beyond the encounter of man and woman, it is the story of the encounter of flesh and vitality. How vitality penetrates the body through the blood. Everything I eat becomes blood, the Talmud says. And oddly enough, the source of the Jewish dietary laws lies in the story of Adam and Eve. The first thing they did after they were created was to eat. Like newborn babies, soon after they leave their mother's womb. Eating implies attention to the foods one eats, the Talmud says. Thus, the simple story of Adam, Eve, and an unknown fruit is the key to the dietary laws of kashrut, which go beyond mere nutrition to define man's bond with the world.
So, face to face, the apprentice scholars argue their opinions, dueling with words, sharpening their rhetorical skills, and perpetuating the tradition of controversy as if it were a sort of game, and it is.
Wait just a minute. How can one chimney sweep come out black and the other white? It's a false assumption. Both must be black with soot. No, sir. If the first one picks up all the soot on his way out, the passageway is clean for the one behind. You mean it's clean for the second sweep if the first one comes out black and the second white? That's too easy. Do you think the Talmud would ask such a subtle question to reach an answer as simple as that? I don't think anything. I'm trying to understand. You're trying to understand? I repeat, two sweeps come out of a chimney. One's black, the other's white. Which one will go wash?
But the true greatness of this book is that it is also the story of a people. The Talmud tells of the Jews, and the Jews tell of the Talmud. The book grew as the Jewish diaspora continued, as the history of the Jewish people proceeded. The process of inventing the Talmud